Beyond the Gates spoilers tease that next week, from June 23rd through June 27th, the Dupree and Richardson clans will be rocked by long-buried loyalties, explosive confrontations, and the tentative reemergence of figures thought lost to time. In the rose-scented gardens of the Dupree estate, Anita Dupree returns from her articulate's reunion under a canopy of gauzy twilight, her heart alight with both joy and the weight of unanswered questions. As she steps through the antique wrought iron gates, she finds Vernon waiting in the marbled foyer, the flicker of torchlight casting dancing shadows across his stern features. In that charged moment, she drops her suitcase and crosses the marble floor in quick, determined strides. Throwing her arms around him, she murmurs, "Is there something you haven't told me about our kingdom?" Vernon's embrace stiffens. The tension in his shoulders speaks volumes. Though he returns her hug, his gaze drifts toward the grand staircase as though he expects to see every ghost of the past standing on its steps, judging him. Anita presses her forehead to his chest, listening to the uneven beat of his here and unexpected falter in the rhythm she thought she knew so well. The scene closes on their tangled silhouettes, and everywhere the estate's hush seems to echo with unanswered questions. The next morning, reality intrudes with the jarring news that Kenneth, the mild-mannered server from their rural country club, has returned, and he's come bearing threats rather than bottles of champagne. Word reaches Vernon that Kenneth has been discreetly gathering evidence, filming surreptitious footage of Dupree family members dining, arguing, and sometimes slipping into private indulgences. The implication is clear. Kenneth intends to reveal every morsel of scandal unless he's handsomely compensated. Vernon, who has never been a man of violence, feels the icy grip of protectiveness tighten around him. He contemplates his options: pay Kenneth's ransom and risk fueling his greed, or confront him directly, in the old Dupree fashion, and risk public spectacle. In the privacy of his study, surrounded by family portraits dating back generations, Vernon inches his thumb along the spines of dusty ledger books. Each one holds the history of sacrifices and intrigues that built the Dupree name. Straightening, he resolves that no outsider will undermine his family's tranquility on his watch. He drafts a discreet letter to Kenneth, laced with veiled threats couched in paternal concern, and sends it with the club's most trusted courier. Yet even as he seals the envelope, he knows that applying pressure too forcefully could trigger Kenneth to strike faster and harder, exposing secrets that could unravel the entire family legacy. Across town, in the vaulted conference hall of Fairmont Crest, Martin Richardson gathers an unexpected fraternity of influential men under soft, amber chandeliers. The long oak table is an assemblage of power. Vernon Dupree sits at one end, his presence an unspoken testament to the gravity of the meeting. Elon Hawthorne, impeccably dressed, leans forward, every muscle taut with anticipation. Marcel Malone, whose hardened criminal past now cloaks him in a veneer of affluence, crosses his arms. Bill Hamilton, whose fortune springs from generations of steel magnates, regards the room with cautious calculation. Joey Armstrong, the charismatic tech entrepreneur with a knack for disruption, scrolls through encrypted messages on his phone, and Ted Richardson, Martin's own cousin, radiates the polite mask of family loyalty. Martin himself stands at the table's center, the low hum of agreement giving way to silence as he surveys his audience. He asks Vernon why he has drawn his own father into this clandestine circle, a question that crackles like static electricity in the air. Vernon replies calmly that Ted has known all along, as though the constellations of conspiracy were charted for him years before. In that instant, Martin's composure fractures. He whirls toward Ted and shouts, "Tell me it isn't true." Ted's face, illuminated by the smoky crystal sconces, betrays him, a flicker of guilt, a half-smile of regret. Martin's eyes burn with betrayal. If Ted, whose place in the family should have been sacrosanct, has harbored the secret, then every trust Martin placed in him has been nothing but an illusion. The unspoken truth hangs heavy. Ted's long-held silence has jeopardized Nicole Richardson's faith in him, potentially derailing the romantic reunion Martin has been meticulously orchestrating. The tension tightens like a noose, and the men exchange furtive glances knowing that in this room, alliances will shift and loyalties will fracture. Meanwhile, in the hushed corridors of the hospital wing, Dany Dupree and nurse-turned-advisor Ashley Morgan pace before the nurse's station, their whispers blending with the rhythmic beeping of monitors. Ashley, pragmatic and incisive, arches an eyebrow as she recalls the scene of Haley Hamilton clutching her abdomen in feigned agony in her own townhouse. "You really think she's faking this pain?" Ashley asks, voice low. Dany leans against the cool marble countertop, frustration curling the edges of her tone. "Of course she is," Dany snaps. "She cooked up this pregnancy to keep Connor from leaving her. Now that she can't maintain the actual bump, she's orchestrating a miscarriage and planning to pin it on me." As Dany's indignation rises, rows of empty bassinets stand as silent witnesses. Ashley places a calming hand on Dany's arm. "We have to be careful. If Haley collapses for real, if she loses this baby, the fallout could be catastrophic." Their concerns are soon validated when Haley, who has been wheeled into the observation ward for supposed complications, suddenly grimaces and clutches her side with genuine distress. A nurse rushes forward, and Dany's face Blanchezreal fear flooding her expression. Has Haley's act spiraled into a genuine crisis? The line between performance and authenticity blurs, and Dany finds herself torn between delight at being cleared of blame and horror at the potential loss of a life. Back on Dupree grounds, Jacob Hawthorne and Naomi Hawthorne lie side by side on the plush canopy bed in their private guest suite, moonlight streaming through floor-to-ceiling windows. Their conversation is hushed yet intense. Jacob turns to Naomi, his gaze solemn. "What if this is only the first level?" he murmurs, referring to the complex web of vendettas plotted by Marcel, Joey, and Elon. Naomi, fingers entwined with his, nods slowly. "I thought Elon explained everything," she replies, her voice laced with doubt. "But if there's another layer, another secret tier of revenge, we don't know, then we're sitting ducks." Jacob's brow furrows as he recounts Elon's ominous warning about targets and collateral damage. The two of them foresee that their own family name, once a bulwark of respectability, could be shattered if they misstep. Naomi, whose philanthropic ventures depend on a spotless public image, shivers at the thought of scandal, while Jacob, a rising attorney, contemplates the impact a single misjudgment could have on his budding career. They resolve to investigate further, to probe beneath Elon's guided narrative and uncover any hidden mechanisms driving the vendetta. This decision, seemingly prudent, binds them ever tighter to a plot whose endgame remains shrouded. As dawn breaks over the rolling hills that cradle the Dupree and Richardson domains, every character stands at a precipice. Anita Dupree grapples with the uncertainty in Vernon's eyes. Kenneth's blackmail threatens the serenity of a family once thought inviolate. Martin Richardson confronts the deepest betrayal of all, cousin against cousin. Dany Dupree and Ashley Morgan navigate the treacherous line between deceit and genuine crisis, and Jacob and Naomi Hawthorne steel themselves against mysteries darker than they ever imagined. The intertwined fates of these players promise a cascade of revelations, alliances forged and broken, and a reckoning where only the most cunning and compassionate will prevail. The gates have creaked open, and when the sun rises tomorrow, nothing will be certain except that every secret brought to light will alter the course of their lives forever. The dawn chill gives way to a searing heat of tension as Anita Dupree returns to the Dupree mansion's sunlit courtyard, her thoughts spiraling around Vernon's haunted expression. Over breakfast in the marble-floored breakfast room, she gently broaches the subject of Kenneth's demands. Vernon, pale but resolute, explains that Kenneth has sent a single sealed envelope containing still images of clandestine garden parties and overheard whispers between Anita and her friends at the Articulate's retreat, evidence enough to ruin reputations if leaked to the tabloids. Anita, anger flaring in her chest, demands action. I won't let that coward blackmail our family. Vernon studies her over the rim of his coffee cup. We can't let Kenneth control us, he agrees, but a direct threat might make him strike preemptively. Their compromise. Vernon will offer Kenneth a token payment just enough to satisfy his greed while secretly dispatching Marcel Malone to intimidate Kenneth into silence. Anita's eyes glitter with both pride and trepidation, the first steps toward reclaiming control, yet each choice risks dragging the family deeper into shadows. Meanwhile, across town in the private vault beneath Fairmont Crest, Martin Richardson finalizes the seating plan for his clandestine symposium later that evening. He intends to cement the alliance forged under the amber chandeliers by presenting each man with a personalized dossier. Elon Hawthorne receives market projections showing how their combined influence can manipulate the upcoming mayoral election. Joey Armstrong sees a tech startup pitch promising exponential returns if the group bankrolls his next venture. Bill Hamilton reads a confidential preview of offshore investment opportunities, and Ted Richardson, in return for his silence, is handed a fragile olive branch. Martin's promise to keep Nicole Richardson blissfully ignorant of Ted's duplicity so long as Ted continues to support Martin's quest for dominance. Martin glances up as Vernon enters, the two exchanging curt nods. Vernon's concern remains palpable. He worries that binding themselves in mutual blackmail may secure short-term loyalty, but will inevitably sow seeds of betrayal. Martin's returning gaze is steel. We play the long game, Vernon. None of us will survive alone. As evening approaches, Dany Dupree and Ashley Morgan pace the tiled corridors of Mercy General Hospital's maternity ward. Ashley, clutching a hospital-issued clipboard, reviews Haley Hamilton's vital signs, alarming spikes in heart rate, unexplained contractions, and a sudden drop in hemoglobin. Dany's voice quivers with conflicting emotions, relief that Haley's deception seems on the verge of collapse, yet horror that the woman's charade has triggered a genuine medical crisis. When the attending obstetrician arrives, a stern woman whose eyes flick between Haley's chart and Dany's anxious face, she murmurs, "We need to move Haley to ICU if her bleeding continues." Dany's world tilts. She realizes that what began as calculated deceit may cost an innocent life. She grips Ashley's arm. "We have to help her," she breathes. Ashley nods, her professional instincts overriding personal grievances. Together, they petition the doctor to let Dany remain at Haley's side, offering to testify that the miscarriage was a ruse, thus ensuring Haley receives immediate care without the bureaucratic delays a formal investigation would impose. That night, Dany sleeps in a chair next to Haley's bed, her own tears mingling with the rhythmic beeping of hospital monitors. Back at the Dupree estate, Anita awaits word on Kenneth's payment. Marcel Malone arrives under the cover of darkness, parking his black SUV beneath oaks dripping with Spanish moss. He carries a manila envelope, Kenneth's invoice, which he tears open to reveal grainy smartphone photos of family gatherings. Marcel's low voice carries over the engine's hum. "They want 100,000, no questions asked." Anita's jaw tightens. A hush falls as she and Vernon weigh their options, torn between capitulation and confrontation. Finally, Vernon instructs Marcel, "Pay them half tonight. Then have your people warn Kenneth that any further demands will be met with consequences he can't ignore." Marcel nods, disappearing into the night as the first raindrops begin to fall, each plink against the SUV roof echoing the threat beneath. Not far away, Jacob and Naomi Hawthorne sit amidst a swirl of street noise in Jacob's townhome study, laptops open, coffee cups half empty. They pore over Elon Hawthorne's earliest messages, encrypted texts hinting at a vendetta orchestrated by Marcel and Joey, financed through Bill Hamilton's deep pockets. Naomi's finger traces a spreadsheet linking offshore accounts. "They're planning something big," she whispers. The first layer was just a demonstration of power. Next comes the real strike. Jacob leans back, tension knitting his brow. If we can uncover their endgame, we might avert disaster for our family's legacy. Naomi suggests they loop in Ashley Morgan. Her hospital connections could expose if the medical records of the targeted party, Haley, are being manipulated. Jacob hesitates. Involving Ashley risks dragging Dany and Haley back into this vortex of revenge. But Naomi's resolve is firm. We have to try. They craft a discreet message to Ashley, outlining the suspicious timing of Haley's collapse and soliciting any information on rival families' machinations within the hospital. As Naomi hits send, the screen blurs with incoming alerts. Marcel has forwarded a video clip of Jacob and Naomi's own genealogical records, accompanied by a warning, "Stay silent, or see your family name destroyed." The couple collapses into their chairs, the gravity of their own vulnerability writ large. Meanwhile, at Fairmont Crest's hidden camera system control room, Joey Armstrong taps keys in rapid succession. He reroutes security feeds to observe Vernon's estate and the hospital's emergency wing. He monitors Anita and Marcel's midnight transaction and spies Ashley moving between Haley's room and Dany's vigil. Joey's grin is feral. He captures Haley's genuine pain, Dany's guilt-ridden expression, and transmits the footage to his private encrypted network. His plan: to release a sensational exposé that ties the Dupree, Richardson, Hawthorne, and Hamilton families into a single scandalous narrative, then monetize it by selling rights to tabloid conglomerates. Each keystroke brings him closer to his audience of millions, but also deepens his complicity in the unfolding vendettas. On the Richardson side, Martin convenes his allies in a secluded wing of Fairmont Crest. The room is hushed save for the hushed hum of an ancient radiator. He lays out the next phase, a synchronized reveal of evidence that will fracture public trust in city leadership while consolidating their own dominance. Elon hawkeyes the plan: manipulate voting data. Marcel readies the muscle to encourage key officials to cooperate. Bill Hamilton signals for discreet transfers to fund the operation, and Ted Richardson struggles to maintain equilibrium, torn between protecting Nicole and preserving his standing with Martin. At that moment, a messenger enters with a sealed envelope for Martin inside, a single photograph, Anita, Dupree, and Vernon leaning together in the courtyard, shot by a hidden Kenwood spy camera. The note reads, "We know your reach extends here. Stay in line or watch your own alliances crumble." Gasps echo around the table. Martin's clenched fist wraps the tabletop. "This is war," he growls. The men share a look of grim resolve. Any trust now must be earned in blood. Over at Mercy General, Dany watches as Haley's vitals stabilize under intensive care. Ashley stands beside her, fatigue etched into her face. Haley's breathing steadies, and when her eyes flutter open, she finds Dany at her side. Haley's gaze flickers with confusion, then venom. "You did this," she hisses, as though accusing Dany of sabotage. Dany's heart stumbles. Haley's mind may yet betray her, even as her body recovers. Before Haley can speak further, Ashley gently ushers her nurse's cap back in place. "Rest now," she says, her tone both soothing and steel-edged. Once Haley drifts off, Dany slips outside, her resolve hardened. She vows to unmask Haley's conspirators not through blackmail, but by exposing their own misdeeds, sharing evidence with the city's ethics commission, and rallying public outcry against this web of corruption. As Dany strides through the sterile corridor, she recognizes that her own position, once precarious, has become pivotal in the fight to break the cycle of vengeance. Late that night, Anita Dupree and Vernon Dupree receive a clandestine phone call from Marcel Malone. Kenneth has disappeared. No ransom was paid. Marcel's intimidation succeeded. Yet buried in Kenneth's abandoned car are flash drives containing troves of footage spanning months, not just garden parties, but private board meetings, hospital visits, and encrypted family communications. Kenneth's final message, scrawled in haste on a restaurant napkin, warns that he acted alone. "My evidence goes to the highest bidder," it reads. Vernon's face drains of color. Their attempt to silence Kenneth has unleashed a more dangerous threat. Unknown hands now possess a digital arsenal capable of igniting every scandal. Anita grips Vernon's arm, her own fear mirrored in his eyes. They must now find and secure every copy of Kenneth's data, even as doubt creeps in. Who else knew of Kenneth's blackmail? And who will strike next? At the Hawthorne residence, Jacob and Naomi awaken to frantic texts from Ashley Morgan, who reports that Haley's condition has taken another turn, possible complications from the induced trauma of her staged miscarriage. The message is clear: Haley could die if no one intervenes. Jacob's legal mind races, publicly exposing the plot could save her, but also blow open the Hawthorne family's involvement. Naomi's philanthropic heart aches. They decide to risk everything. Jacob will file a pro bono guardianship petition to gain access to Haley's medical records and testimony, secretly partnering with Ashley to petition the state attorney general for an emergency investigation into the Hamilton-Dupree conspiracy. Naomi, meanwhile, will prepare a covert press release under a pseudonym, hinting at a coordinated strategy among elite families to manipulate lives and hinting at her own role in bringing the truth to light. As the first light of dawn crests the horizon, each player moves with grim determination. Martin Richardson mobilizes his inner circle for a dawn raid on the city's records depository. Vernon Dupree and Anita race to every electronics recycler and pawn shop within the county to recover Kenneth's drives. Bill Hamilton consults Maria Chen one last time, refining his motion to invoke the statute of limitations. Joey Armstrong posts a cryptic teaser on his encrypted network, promising the mother of all reveals in 24 hours. Dany Dupree and Ashley Morgan transfer Haley to a private recovery suite and coordinate with state investigators. And Jacob and Naomi prepare to storm the courthouse steps in a last-ditch effort to protect an innocent life. In these crucible hours, alliances will solidify or shatter, loyalties will be tested, and the next wave of revelations will sweep across their intertwined worlds. No one can predict who will emerge redeemed, who will fall into ruin, and who will grasp power from the ashes of scandal. Yet one truth remains absolute: when the gates swing wide once more, the consequences will echo far beyond the Dupree and Richardson estates, reshaping destinies and rewriting legacies in ways no one could have imagined.